a lot of women, the reason why a lot of women want to work, and again, your approach might be different, so I don't know. But what I understand is the reason why a lot of women want to work is because they worry that if things were to go south, they will be left raising the children on their own with no viable job skills. And by having that issue, you find out a lot of women struggle because they have to figure a way to take care of kids, which is financially, hard without an extra income coming in from the man. That doesn't seem, I've asked you a couple of times to see if you were going to point that out, but you never did. So I can't make the assumption that that's your approach. But what I'm also trying to make you understand is your contribution should not necessarily be on the monetary side. Your contribution should be on the support side to build what he's bringing in, right? Because people say you give a woman a seed, she gives you a baby, right? Same way, if he's bringing in a good amount of income into the household, well, now you are going to be able to take that income and make it an empire. So
Yeah.
rather than focus on getting that career or that job and being somebody else's woman, because when you work for somebody else, that person becomes your man because that person is who pays your bills, right? That person gives you money every month and you
Yeah.
have to pay your bills from that. And that's what your man's supposed to do. So when the person is either the government, like unfortunately the United States is, or in some cases your employer, that's who becomes your actual man. And you can't date multiple men and be loyal or committed to multiple men. That's why I want you to kind of, again, I'm a 39-year-old man. I'm speaking to a person who, I feel like I'm a little bit older than you, so I've seen some things that you might not have necessarily seen, but I can tell you that if you make the right decisions now, you are at the perfect age to get in a relationship, connect with somebody, start a family, and build your empire. And let me even put it this way, right? Because a lot of women say this. I hear this all the time. They say, okay, let's assume I get married to this guy and 10 years later on, he realizes he's not attracted to me anymore and he wants to walk from the marriage. He wants to divorce me. He's leaving me. Well, look at people like Jeff Bezos and his wife, or people like Bill Gates and Melinda Gates. They started a relationship. They built an empire together. And when she walked away with more money than she could even spend, that she's given so much of it away. And no matter how much she gives away, it's not even going to be enough, right? She still has more
Yeah.
than enough for her to live through multiple generations. So you will still always be taken care of if you make the right decisions, you build with the right person, and you don't worry about the risk of that investment failing. Versus if you take the fear approach of, I need to get a job, I need to protect myself, well, then what you're really doing is you're taking away the ability to build something and you're throwing all those eggs in five different baskets. And at the end of the day, you have five, or you just have five baskets with five eggs versus one basket with potentially 25 eggs, right? So I know the math doesn't make sense the way I explain it, but when you focus on one basket, you build more in that basket than when you put it in multiple little places and you hope you get more out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I totally get what you mean. I totally get what you mean.
Yeah. So, it's just
So
something to
because
consider. Go ahead.
yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. That's why I made reference to that's why I made reference to the kind of partner you have. It depends on your understanding with the person. Because for me, being a nurse, yeah, it's actually cool because you get paid a lot. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to work in the um, medical field for a very long time. I feel like I'm I want to start up something for myself. So if I get into a relationship with someone that totally understands my kind of dream, I wouldn't want to work for anybody because I want to have time for my family too. So it, it depends on your totally on the person you are having a relationship with. If you people plan well, if you plan well, you get a better result in your relationship. So that's it for me.
Sure. And I'll add one to that, which is you are in charge as to the people you give access to your body, right? And a man can't start a relationship with
Yeah.
you until he gets access to your body. So you have to focus very strongly now on two things. If I were in your position and somebody said, "Hey, hey, Dr. Love, I'm going to be Mary Clara for a second," and I say, "Hey, Mary Clara, what is it that I need to do now at 24 years old to make sure that I'm good at 35 or 39 years old?" Right? What I would say is this: I would say the first thing that I would do is I would get rid of every male friend that I have, simply because, as great as they are, as much of the fact that they could be potential brothers with my best interest at heart, they are still swinging penises. And forgive me for using this word, but I'm going to use it. They're still swinging penises that have the desire for me on a carnal level. I can't control that. I can't stop them from having those carnal or physical or animalistic desires towards me, because that's what God made us, man and woman, to have. We have these desires that we shouldn't sometimes have towards people that we care about, right? So you can't stop them from feeling that way or thinking that way about you. And because that exists, that creates a threat or a competition with any man that comes in your life. Because the minute the man comes in your life and he has to compete with a male friend that is not an actual biological brother of yours, then you're opening the door for so many things. And then I'm going to ask you this: what if the guy has as many female friends, and then you find out in a span of your relationship that he actually had sex with one of those female friends? How do you take it at that point? Are you going to be okay with that, or what would you do?
My my friend,
Yes, if you had a
is it my
relationship
friends?
and he also had a lot of female friends, and then just like you have male friends, and he ends up sleeping or having sex with one of those female friends just because there was an opportunity or something happened, how would you respond to it? Would you be okay with that, or would you?
Okay. No, definitely not. Nobody will be
Okay,
okay with anything happening. So yeah, nobody
but
will.
I
I
agree.
won't
So
be.
if unfortunately, it's a little different in relationships, right? So men and women have different approaches, but that's a whole different conversation. What I would say is you take away that opportunity when you don't surround yourself with either a person who has the potential to make you do that. In your case, you having guy friends, or in his case, him having female friends. So you can control that now by making the decision to minimize how many male friends you have around you. And you can also control the relationship you have by being available and having the right mindset that when you meet the guy that you care about, you can now be a ready person, right? You don't have too many guy friends. You're not thinking about going to get a job to make more money. You feel like he's going to be able to carry on most of what's going on. And now your life is a much easier process. Does that kind of make sense? I think we're losing connection. Hello, can you hear me? I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
we're
It
losing.
totally. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Oh, I think we're losing connection.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It was on mute and it looked like we're losing connection.
Okay. For me, I feel it it actually have to do with the person. Yeah, like I said, um, I wouldn't say I haven't experienced someone like a friend trying to create a boundary between me and other guys, but yeah, it has happened, and I've totally learned my lessons, like how to relate more with them. So I know when to invite them over or when we could hang out. So that's actually it. So I feel it totally depends on how you guys started the relationship to how you started your relationship with the guy. If you started you off as, okay, let's date, or maybe he's showing some interest on you, and you like try to block that kind of affection from coming in. Yeah, it becomes, you guys get to have more understanding about each other. If he cannot deal with it, then okay, let's just create our boundaries and all that. So it totally has to do with those people, the two partners or the two friends or the two
Okay.
guys. So for me, I've created that boundary, and I know when to call. I know when to. I know when to do this. I know when to. Can you hear me?
My thing, which is, yeah, I can hear you. I don't know what happened. Okay, sorry. I said my approach, or my advice to you would be, try it your way, right, and then see what happens when you guys are 35 or 40 years old. Or think about what I said and then look and ask yourself, what is the true value that I'm getting from these male friendships that I have? And how are these male friendships going to help me down the road? So, again, those are the decisions you have to make. I think this is a good call.
I'll totally do that. I'll still like try to evaluate what you actually said, because I feel in some kind of ways actually true. So yeah.
Okay.
I will still
Yeah,
look into
absolutely.
that.
That's awesome. But yeah, this is a good call. I think, I think there was some understanding here. My hope for you is, down the road, we'd like to hear back, see how things are going, find out if you were able to find love. I also want to share your IG. I want to give you some exposure. I think that's fair. Folks, if anybody is interested in reaching out to Mary Clara, it's her IG. Her IG is I am Dota. Is that correct? Did I say that correctly? I am underscore
Yeah.
Dota.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, it's on the
Yeah.
screen. Check her out. Check out her pics. Follow her on IG. Reach out to her if any of you guys are interested. She's single. She's young. She's 24. She has a very good mind on her. She's definitely a traditional woman in a lot of ways. In some ways, not so much, but most of the ways I would say she has some traditional value. So for those of you that are interested, reach out to her. I think this is a great call. This is a great show. Mary Clara, thank you. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Bye.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you. All right, folks. This is a very good call. We definitely had a good one here with Mary Clara. Again, I would say that, yeah, there's some things that I wasn't too happy about. Again, and we pointed that out in the call. So we talked about how she is, she's really thinking in lines of having these male friends. And folks, you guys know how I feel about having male friends. When a woman has multiple male friends, it creates multiple options, and multiple options only lead to potential problems. So the best thing you can do as a man or as a woman is to vet out the relationship. She doesn't seem like she understands the impacts, but that's what happens when you're 24 and you're in a relationship, or you haven't really had a real relationship. You have a lot of guy friends. And yeah, I didn't ask her if she slept with her guy friends, because she claims she's only slept with 3 guys her entire relationship, her life. So if she hasn't been sexually active with any of her male friends, that's a good thing. But again, there has to be a lot of trust for someone who comes into the relationship and is hoping that she actually is honest, that she hasn't been involved with any of these guys. So some women might look at this and say, yeah, this is insecurity at its finest. You should be comfortable with her having all these male friends. But folks, guys, if you're a high value man, the last thing that you want in a relationship is to put yourself in a position where you are with a woman that has a very checkered past, and that checkered past can come back to affect you and your ability to be, in position of power down the road because of what your woman decided to do. So again, remember, your quote unquote enemies, or people who don't wish you well or who look to try to get take advantage of you or use you for what you have would look for every single way. And sometimes you could be unequally yoked with the wrong person. And by doing that, yes, you might not be focused on that first when you meet her and she has those big tits and a big butt and she, she moans well when you smash and all those things. So you're not really focused on those things, but then what ends up happening is as you go into year 2, year 3, year 4 in a relationship, and now you're thinking marriage, and you potentially get married to this person, and then you start finding out all this checkered past, or start undercovering male friends that potentially had things to do with her that she didn't really disclose, then who knows, right? Who knows how ugly it can get? I have a family member, I have an uncle who had a girlfriend that was very similar to this. She had a lot of male friends, and he walked in one day on her having 3 guys, and they were all naked, and they were all doing cocaine in the living room in his house. These were male friends. In his mind, when he sees his girlfriend naked with three different men that are in their underwear, and she's butt naked, walking around and doing cocaine in the house with them, what do you think he's going to think, right? So he might, somebody might say, well, maybe they didn't do anything. Maybe she was just that comfortable with her friends. But come on, man, who's that stupid, right? So again, this is just things that you guys can take and use for your own self and your own protection. Like I always say, you have to protect your seed, or you don't have to do anything, and you could just ignore it, ignore the warning signs, jump in the relationship, and once the ship starts sinking, you will look back and say, yeah, I remember there was this Dr. Love on YouTube, and he said something, and I wish I listened. All right. Again, talk to you guys soon again. See you guys in the next show. This is a good one. Peace.